Arizona Democratic Congressman Greg Stanton is joining us on the Newsmaker line on Arizona's Morning News to talk about tariffs, because let's be honest, that's topic number one today here in Arizona and across America.
Congressman, good morning. Appreciate your time. The Senate, with some Republican support, has already passed a resolution condemning the Canadian tariffs, but it doesn't really stand a chance in the House, does it? So is there anything congressional Democrats can do to stop these tariffs?
Yes, there is. And by the way, these tariffs are very bad economic policy. At the exact time we should be working to lower costs for the American people, these tariffs represent the largest tax increase in American history. Of course, Republicans are going to join Democrats to try to reverse these self-defeating tariffs. And what we can do in the House of Representatives is a discharge petition. We need to get 3 courageous Republicans to join us to sign a petition to release the bill that would have Congress vote on these tariffs. By the way, tariffs are supposed to be implemented by Congress, not by the president. This president is using so-called emergency powers to get it done. It's actually the role of Congress to approve these tariffs. So we're asking 3 courageous Republicans to do the right thing, sign the discharge petition, and have Congress do its job under the Constitution, and vote on these tariffs.
Do you have any takers so far?
Well, just as you mentioned, on the Senate side, they were able to get a bipartisan bill to have a vote to reverse the tariffs on our next-door neighbor in Canada. I have a bill that would reverse the tariffs on the tariff policy on Mexico and Canada. And when I say reverse it, I mean just have a vote of the Congress to reverse the emergency powers, because those emergency powers are only supposed to be in place for a very short period of time, but ultimately it's supposed to be Congress. And yes, we're having good conversation with our Republican friends for the very reason that you described at the top of this hour, which is that this is causing pain for the American people. It's causing the stock market to crumble, 2 of its worst days in history, yesterday and today. It's turning our back on our allies as we are trying to win this world economic competition with China. We need to work closely with our allies. We should be trying to bringing jobs back to North America, manufacturing back to North America, and these tariffs are setting us in the wrong direction.
By the way, it was a Democratic president who was awarded these emergency powers, Jimmy Carter, back in the day. Let me ask you this. Since some Democrats have been fans of tariffs in the past, Congressman Stanton, albeit not to the extent that President Trump has instituted, do you see any positives in these tariffs, like maybe the ones against China or maybe some other countries that are not our friends?
Sure, we should use tariffs in strategic ways when other countries are acting in inappropriate ways. For example, if there is dumping of, say, solar equipment into the United States, that we should have an appropriate tariff to not allow that, or steel dumping into the United States. That makes good economic sense. These are across-the-board tariffs that are meant to stay permanently because the president wants to use it as a revenue source for the United States to replace income taxes. But what it really is a massive tax increase on the American people. So when you're talking about strategic tariffs to serve a specific economic purpose, to defeat inappropriate activities by our adversaries, that makes perfect sense. Across the board tariffs, the president waxes poetic about the Gilded Age in the 1870s and 1890s, at a time before we had income tax, as the best time in American history, the golden age, I guess he calls it, and he's willing to risk it all to go back to that era. And I think the American people understand that in this time that we are trying to lower costs, this is a tax, and at a time that we are trying to win this competition with China, which is the biggest competition America has ever had economically. We're the most powerful country on planet Earth. We're the most successful economy on planet Earth. Let's keep it that way.
Arizona Democratic Congressman Greg Stanton joining us here on the Newsmaker line. I'm curious about American manufacturing, because that's, ostensibly one of the reasons that these tariffs were put into place is that we need to see more American manufacturing and less dependence on countries like China that just flood our market with goods. How do you see a way to stimulate that American manufacturing?
See it. We did it. Have you heard of the Chips and Science Act? That was the greatest policy moving forward with American industrial policy a massive success. No state in the country better benefited from the CHIPS and Science Act than we did here in Arizona. Right now, the largest manufacturing investment in American history, $160 billion by TSMC, is happening here in Arizona as a direct result of our decision to invest in this most important industry, the semiconductor industry. And TSMC was just announced yesterday is now going to partner with Intel to help Intel through its economic challenges, which is a great victory for the American economy. And so having a smart industrial policy in the United States is the best way to re-engage with advanced manufacturing in the United States, not through a tariff policy, which actually the purpose is, for the president says, is to replace the income tax as the main revenue source for the United States of America. I think in the long term that will take us in the wrong direction because of the nature of it being a tax increase on the American people.
Thank you so much. That's Arizona Democratic Congressman Greg Stanton.
While trying to figure out what effects the president's tariffs will have on the state, on all of Arizona, there's a lot of data to go through, like what do we import from most foreign countries and which countries are those imports coming from? Do they align with the countries that are getting hit with tariffs?
So because we're too lazy to do all that math and that data analysis, we're having ABC 15 data analyst Garrett Archer on Arizona's Morning News. Garrett, where will Arizonans see prices go up the most based on what we import and where we import it from?
Hello. Well, we import about $42 billion of goods last year, and a lot of that came from Mexico and China, as you would imagine. So Mexico, we get a lot of vegetables from Mexico, as well as cars and car parts. So those are sort of the largest things that we get from Mexico. From China, we're getting things like, again, machinery parts and batteries, lithium batteries, and then a lot of microprocessor stuff from Taiwan as well. So those are our biggest trading partners here.
You know, Garrett, live animals, meat, fish, dairy, and eggs, products of animal origin, they are the top 5 set of imported products that come into Arizona. How many of these goods come from Mexico and Canada, which are our 2 largest trading partners?
The majority of it comes from Mexico. So a lot of the stuff, when it comes to Mexico, of course, we have to figure out what needs to be figured out is what items are being touched by the USMCA agreement that Trump signed with Mexico and Canada. And after that, then, that's when you're able to say, okay, are we applying the 25% tariff or if it's coming in free? And that's going to make the big difference on what's being impacted in that category and what's not.
Right. And there's so many different products that are covered by that U.S.-Mexico Canadian agreement, but also there's a lot of stuff that isn't. And by the way, I don't know if you know the answer to this because LaDona and I were trying to figure that out. The 5th highest category of imported goods into Arizona is products of animal origin. What is that?
Please say it's purses and shoes.
Is it those cow horns that you see, on the fronts of Cadillacs? And I don't know.
That's a very broad category.
Right.
The way that so I don't know exactly what that is, the products of animal origin. I don't think it's going to be things like eggs. I'd have to go back to see. We'd have to take it down at least one more level to see what that actual category is.
I wasn't seriously thinking that you would break that down. I just thought it was funny. So
it is, but I have no idea
it's a mystery category.
Yeah. So this is what's not funny. I've heard a figure of about $1,800 in extra cost because of these tariffs for the average American over the next 12 months. Does that sound about right for us here in Arizona, or is there just still too much data to go through to figure this out?
So, yeah, I did some napkin math on that. And again, this is pending what gets covered by the USMCA. And that's, again, very difficult to figure out because it's not necessarily categorical numbers. It's items that are through the supply chain go to the U.S. But anyway, I did some math on this. The average tariff rate that we're seeing with our imports is going to be about 20%. And that breaks down, using that $42 billion from last year, that breaks down to about $1,100 per tariff impact per Arizona.
Okay.
So, what are the chances that we see this sort of mellow out after just a little while and maybe those tariffs come down a little bit? Any prognostication going on there?
Well, I think that there could be a good chance of that, really, because, again, with us, we enjoy the fact that Mexico is our largest trading partner. And because of just the relationship that Canada and Mexico have with just so many supply chains in the United States, you could sort of suppose or forecast that there could be a chance that things get added to the USMCA, agreement quicker than not, and then other things are also put onto the just tariff exemption list, and for that reason, you can kind of expect that maybe those we don't exactly know how many products are going to be impacted by this, and that could be one of the reasons why.
All right, but this is why I say thank goodness for Garrett Archer, ABC News, ABC 15's data analyst, because it keeps me from having to dig into the numbers.
Well, he crunches the numbers, so we don't have to.
Exactly.
Thanks for watching Arizona's Morning News. Click to watch more from KTAR News and hit the button in the middle to subscribe.